Everybody, welcome to Sports Politics Agree to Disagree. Thank you for joining us, catching us live, catching the replays. We're going to do a quick around the room. My name is Alan Hinton. I'm your host for this afternoon. You can find me on Twitter, A-Flash79. Mr. Purvis.
Perfect Purpose. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat at Perfect Purpose.
Lance.
I'm Leonard Lynch Jr. Catch me at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that, all the same, at Lynch Jr.
Turner.
And John Turner. You can catch me on Facebook, Agree to Disagree, AJT, Twitter, Everybody Loves John, and I'm not a fan of Snap, and we can thank Draymond Green for that.
So we've all got a couple topics that we're going to talk about, and one that just kind of came up right before we started that we may get into depending on time. But we're going to start off. Lynch is going to tell us a little bit about his thoughts about the media and how they portray players.
All right, so I'm taking a page out of AJT's book here. He's been railing on the media and media coverage since 2-3 years ago. So my thing is the media and how they cover athletes. You know, whenever there's an issue and whenever an athlete is in trouble, whether they're accused or something or they're just around something, you know, the athlete's getting bashed by the media, dragged through the mud, even before we have all the facts. And then once all the facts came out, if that athlete is vindicated and absolved of all wrongdoings, you hear nothing from the media. There's no talking about it. You might get a little ticker on the bottom of ESPN saying, "Oh, this didn't really happen. It was falsely accused." And that my issue with that comes with LaShawn McCoy in particular. With remember when he got into it at a club with a bunch of police. Well, his friends got into it with a bunch of off-duty cops. You know, and I hate that they say off-duty cops because if you're an off-duty cop, then that just means you're just a regular guy in the club. They weren't doing security. They were at the club popping bottles. That's what was happening. So they were out there doing that. They got into it with LaShawn's friends, and then because it was LaShawn McCoy, you know, it all blew up. So my problem with that is when that happened, people were going at him, "Oh, he's a thug. Why is he out in the club? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? He makes too much money to be in that type of atmosphere. He's an athlete in the club." Any regular people go to the club all the time. There's nothing stopping him from going to the club. Billionaires go to clubs. Thing is, he got into an incident. His friends got into an incident because he's the headliner. They went after him. Now, it's all came out that he wasn't charged. He was cleared of all wrongdoing. As a matter of fact, the cops were held liable. From the DA's perspective, the cops were liable for the whole incident. So he was cleared, and then we hear nothing. We hear nothing about it. You don't hear anything about it. And then he has to come into camp, and that's the first question they're asked. And he's all apologetic about it, but he did nothing wrong. He's apologizing for doing nothing wrong. But then he said something, you know, that stuck to me, and it came to the fact that, you know, that no one's saying anything now. Now that he's been cleared, they're whispering about it. But when it was all coming out, it was everyone talked about it ad nauseam. So that's my issue with it. How media portrays these athletes when there's issues. Instead of waiting for the facts and waiting for everything to clear, everybody is quick to give their perspective because they want to be the first person. And that's what I had to say about that. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I like you said, you know, I've been talking about this for years. The biggest issue, though, is that something we're all aware of, negativity sells. And as long as negativity is going to sell, that's always going to be something that's going to be put on first. Because let's be honest, like we all tune in, we watch sports. Now I would like to think all of us are critical thinkers, you know, when it comes to sports, for sure. But then not everybody is. So what if you're ESPN and you have a multi-billion-dollar business that, you know, you get all this sponsorship and all of that and people watching, like what are they going to tune into? LaShawn McCoy in trouble or LaShawn McCoy doing something with a charity? Nobody's going to want to tune in to see about LaShawn McCoy, the charity, and the reason why is because, oh, LaShawn McCoy is a millionaire athlete. He should be doing that. We all know that they're not going to put that up. The only time you see stuff like that and when it's to make a wish with the developmentally delayed kids that ESPN does to try to pimp them out, which I don't like anyway. And again, whatever. But unfortunately, until us as fans, all of us, not just us four, but until fans think more critically and can look past that, that's always going to be the case. Negativity is always going to sell.
I think the biggest issue with that, what you talk about, is that people only want to hear positive stuff when it affects them. We love to hear about a charity when that charity is coming around the corner from my house. But if LaShawn McCoy is doing something with a charity in Buffalo, I ain't in Buffalo. So that just goes back to me. I turn the TV off, and I'm still broke. And so for the most part, people just want to hear good stuff when it comes to them. And then on the other end of that, they like hearing when people mess up because they start to think, man, if I was in that situation, I would have done better. But the reality is everybody's different. Everybody's situation is different. We get into dumb stuff all the time just so nobody cares. And I kind of hate, just to talk back on one thing, it's kind of off of the topic, but something that you pointed out. I hate when people talk about athletes shouldn't be in a club. Now, I will say I am one of those people that believes that there are certain things that you shouldn't do as an athlete and a millionaire. Like if you're a $1 million athlete, you shouldn't have a gun. I'm not saying you should go out unarmed. I'm saying you should have a homeboy with a gun that sits right next to you because there's no reason for you to and shoot yourself in the leg or get arrested and have a gun or no stuff like that. I'm saying you got enough money to have your homeboy who can take that charge and then you pay his way out when he get out of prison. Don't mess up your own money because you're a millionaire. With that being said, if y'all remember, it had to be almost 10 years ago now, 8 years ago, something like that, when Ken Hamlin was at a club and he got hit with the guy pulled a parking sign and hit him with it and messed him up.
Fractured his skull.
The first thing you heard was, why was Ken Hamlin there? It's 2 a.m. He's a pro athlete. He should be at home. I work at a college, and I know people who work at my college that are out at 2 a.m. and still making it work the next day. So,
yep.
So no profession makes you beyond, wanting to go out and have a good time. It sucks that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But it wasn't like Ken Hamlin was in a fight and he was running around punching people in the face. He just happened to be in a club with some stuff happen. Yeah, you don't want to put yourself in that situation. I understand that. But at the same time, they still have to have the opportunity to be human beings. And I hate that more than anything, the media doesn't allow that to happen. I feel like being an athlete, accepting $1 million contract does come with some expectations, but that expectation shouldn't be that you spend 100% of your time being an athlete. To further jump off the topic, Robert Griffin posted a picture last year. Sorry, about to sneeze. Nope. Posted a picture last year. He posted a picture last year of him at a golf course or something like that, and people were commenting, you should be working on your foot, your motion, your throwing motion, your mechanics, your step backs. I'm just like, so we don't know he did that yesterday? Like, just because he's at a golf tournament now doesn't mean he stopped caring about being a quarterback. It means that somebody said, hey, come play golf, and he was with it. And I've never been a fan of that. I don't know. You got anything to say, Bird?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on there a little bit too, see what y'all talking about. I think with the media, I mean, it's pretty obvious what's happening is it's the evolution of media. When sports were first being covered, you were getting just stats, what happened. And then it evolved to you're getting stats and a little commentary. And athletes were put on this pedestal like, hey, these are our heroes. These are the people we want our kids to look up to. So a lot of feel-good stories. When you hear about, like, old school, like, football players, basketball players, baseball players, you hear all these great things about them because that's how they were covered. And then we evolved into this, well, I want to know what's going on in the athletes' lives. And once we got there, that's when it split. At first, there was a long period of, like, we wanted to, be like Mike, and we wanted to see what he did on a regular basis. and see all this good stuff he did outside of the sport. And then it turned into, well, I'm not sure if I even like the way these guys are going out to clubs and partying, because now I know that's what they do in their free time, because media is covering so much of their lives. And now we're at a point now with social media that people feel that, like, okay, you're an athlete, so I'm going to put you on a pedestal and say, hey, you need to be held to a higher standard than normal people, but you're just a normal person, so you have flaws just like me. And what people are focusing on are the flaws. People are focusing on the negativity of what a small percentage of athletes are doing, and that's what people are liking right now. Negativity is in. Like you said, negativity sells. And you can see it from just an objective, like, long-range view. It's what's happened over time. We've completed the cycle. Hopefully, if we get back into the whole, like, we're looking for a great person and we want athletes to be heroes again. But right now, there's a divide between the actual media outlets and the athletes. Just like Lynch was saying earlier, you have LaShawn McCoy, he had a situation, the media ripped him, but when the situation was cleared and he was basically found not guilty or never was guilty of any wrongdoing, the media, he actually attacked the media back. He said, hey, it kind of sucks that when I was down or y'all thought I was wrong, y'all were at my throat, and now I don't get anything from you. And I know he wasn't personally, like, attacking them or anything like that, but it just shows the divide between the athletes and the media. Because when he says something like that, me, as just a fan, I'm going to say, good for you, LaShawn. I'm glad you said what was on your mind. But you're going to have some reporter out there that's like, oh, he thinks that he can just talk to reporters how he wants to. Let me go find some dirt on him. And that's the problem with the way that the media and the athletes are going right now.
But I think, and here's I don't want to say it's an issue, but here's why. Because athletes are more in control over what they put out to the media now. Now with Twitter, now with Facebook, and with Snap, they break their own news. You have the Players Tribune, where Kevin Durant put where he was going to the Warriors. LeBron did the whole Sports Illustrated thing, but now they're able to control what they're able to put out now. That's why you have all of these news outlets, that follow all of the athletes, so they can try to glean from their social media pages, and then they report on the stuff, even though the athlete put it out first. And I think now the athletes are taking more control over their brands and what they put out. I think the media is a bit resentful of that, because now if an athlete does something and they go and put it on Twitter first, this is what happened, the media can't spin it. Hey, they can't spin it. It's already out there. You know what I mean? And I honestly think that so what happens is that once they put it out there and once the media can't spin it, I honestly feel that there's a level of disgust, a level of frustration, because now they can't report the news themselves. And that's what they're all about. News media is sharks, and they want to break the news all the time. And when they can't, that's when they start putting out more negative stuff and leaving the positive aside.
Yeah, that's true. And I think going back to one thing that Purvis said, the vast majority of athletes aren't getting in trouble. There's only a handful of athletes in each sport that have really caused problems. Some of those guys get arrested a bunch of times, but it isn't like 60% of the league is getting arrested and having all these kind of issues, failing drug tests, so on and so forth. And I think that we really need to, I guess, focus more on that, the fact that it's not the majority of people.